There is 3 fundraisers coming up in the next couple weeks, or 3 or 4 weeks. On October 26th at the golf course, it's a Friday night, the Hiddenwood Sportsman's Club is sponsoring a walleye feed, a walleye supper from 5:30 to 7:30. It's a free will donation. Everybody's welcome, give what you want. Bank West of Selby is matching a $5,000, the first $5,000, so that'll be very good. Thank you, Hiddenwood Sportsman's Club. Our employees are sponsoring a hypnotist and a prime rib dinner, and that's going to be on November 4th, 3rd, Saturday night, November 3rd. They were selling tickets out front, and I heard there's only about 20 left, so grab your tickets. There's going to be a prime rib dinner, then there's going to be an auction, and then there's going to be a hypnotist. Should be a fun night, and that's at the Selby Opera House. Then the Mobridge Rotary called me today, and on November 8th, they're going to have a free will spaghetti feed at the Moose with bingo to follow, and those proceeds will also go to the WCCC. So I want to thank everybody who's doing that and putting forth the effort for that. And the Fair Center made that too, didn't they? The quilt. Yeah, employees made a quilt that we're raffling off, and tickets are at the Shorties, One Stop, and where else are they? Can you buy tickets for the quilt? Okay, any employee and at the Avera Clinic, they're selling tickets for a beautiful quilt.
And they will also be at the craft fair this Saturday, and we will raffle it off at about 3:30 Saturday afternoon.
Okay, it'll be at the craft fair Saturday at the Opera House. It'll be auctioned off about, or it'll be given away at about 3:30, not auction, be given away. So get your tickets. Any other fundraisers that I forgot about or did? So, as far as what we've been doing, our organization has met with a lot of people and called a lot of other nursing homes that were in the same situation we were, and they've been giving us some advice about what worked for them, what didn't work, what they would suggest. We've had the South Dakota Economic Development come to my office on Tuesday to give us some names of people or organizations that give grants out, so that we're going to be applying for them. Our goal, like we said before, was $500,000. That's not a set in stone goal. We're going to be like the Mobridge Hospital or everything else. Hopefully we raise this money, and then someone said, do we have to raise this money every year? No, we don't, but we're going to try to have a fundraiser every year, because we're going to have to try to keep some money in the pool in case furnace goes out. If you've ever been a homeowner, you know how things happen. So that's the situation there. You know, we have a good start in our fundraiser. Our goal is to try to take over December 1st. And there will not be a lapse in coverage, even if we don't make that day. We're gonna keep it going, but that is the goal, as far as, you know, all the records and making sure we get everything turned over. That's a pretty fast turnover. So, but that is our goal. And the money that you give us, we're gonna use the best that we can. We're gonna try to use it wisely and get this thing rolling, and I think we will, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to do it. I am real confident that we're going to do it. I've got a great people helping me, and we're doing a lot of work. So I think what I'll do now is turn it over to Ron, and he can explain a little bit about our management system, or our management company that we hired to help this transition.
Thanks, Dan. So folks, my name is Ron Ross, and with me tonight is Walt. He's very shy. Walt is going to be the project manager. He's helped us with several projects similar to this. We currently manage 20 small nursing homes similar to Salvage. I started the company back in 1990, and I've been involved with nursing homes since 1981. So I was kind of young back then. My son and daughter are in business with me, and they too have the same passion and goals that I have for small communities. This is nothing new for us. We have followed different operators at different times. We have followed Good Samaritan in other communities, one in Nebraska and one down in Kansas. I can tell you the transition from our standpoint went very smooth, and we anticipate the transition from Good Samaritan to us to be very smooth also. So I'm anticipating that it will go smoothly. There's a lot of stuff to it, but the communication we've had with the Good Samaritan folks has been very positive, and I don't anticipate any challenges. Small nursing homes are a struggle. You know, it's just, it is. You guys are very fortunate. You have really good census. I can tell by the fact that you have very good census, and we've walked the building, we've been able to look at some things, and you have an outstanding staff, and we'll be very proud to be a part of your team. We will put in an administrator. The administrator will be the only employee of our company. The rest of the employees will be employees of WCCC. And the administrator that we will put in, we have a gentleman in mind, and he'll be here for a while to help us get things going and be stable, and bring that expertise. We have a couple of nurse consultants that will come up and help you too. We have a business manager consultant, and we have a Medicare person, and things like that. So we'll bring our team to help you. Our goal fairly soon will be to find somebody local that wants to be the administrator, and we'll work with him or her and help them understand the different regulations and what it takes to be an administrator. And so we'll probably be putting some information into the local newspaper, so if you've ever had a passion for working with elders and working at the nursing home, or you want to learn what it's all about, we find that having a local person as the administrator is a good thing. And so whenever we get involved with the community, we try to find somebody that has the skills and the passion to help us. So if it's in the back of your head, let us know. We'd be glad to visit with you, and we'll get the regulations out and stuff so you can, it's on the internet, but we'll post it in the local newspaper of what it takes. Benefits and things like that for the employees. We're having to work with the board, create the employee handbook. We'll probably be going off of the one that Good Sam has, and then we'll probably need to tweak it. We don't have all those answers tonight. I won't have all those answers tomorrow at 9 when I meet with the employees either. But I can tell you that the board is very interested in making sure that we have the benefits that the facility can afford. So we'll have to figure out what that is. And perhaps as the community decides how much they can financially support, the facility will help give us the ideas of what we can do. So obviously, the more that is raised, then we'll be able to be more comfortable and knowing what kind of benefits we can provide. But we'll do the very best we can. Like I said, we have followed other operators, not just Good Sam, but other operators who decided that a small community was just not where they wanted to be, and so they either moved to larger communities or they turned the facilities over to the local community. So we have followed several of those over the last few years, probably because the nursing home industry itself is really getting tougher and tougher. And unfortunately, government, in particular the Medicaid program in every state, continues to figure out how much they can afford and what kind of rate that they're willing to give the nursing homes. I know that that's probably going to be a bigger discussion for South Dakota, because the Medicaid rate in South Dakota is one of the lowest rates in the United States. So there's an area that probably needs to be addressed legislatively. But all of the states that we're involved with are going through the same problems with Medicaid, so it's nothing new. And so you just have to deal with it. As Dan was saying, we have an aggressive start date. We're shooting for December 1. We've got a lot of the paperwork in the works. I've visited with the folks down in Pierre, and we'll continue to talk to them about the transition. They're aware that this is going on, and I'm sure they'll be as helpful as they can with the transition. I have dealt with the folks in Pierre on several occasions over the last couple of years, and I have found them to be workable and accommodating, so I don't anticipate the transition here with them to be difficult either. There's a question, love it.
Okay, I'd like to address the question of the start date. My mom's a resident, and we haven't been told, we're supposed to get 60-day notice, and we haven't been told that they're closing. Not that I'm against this, but I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
You are correct. The law does require, when a facility is going to close, that they are required to give the residents a 60-day notice. And the reason they haven't given the 60-day notice is because they're working with the board on trying to make this transition so we don't have to give that notice. The last thing I think they want, I can't speak for them, but the last thing I think they want is to give a premature closing date. And so we're hopeful that that notice will go out. I mean, if we can work with them, and whether it's December 1 or January 1, I mean, I'm pretty sure, just by looking at all of you here and the work this board's been doing and the money that they've already raised, we're going to be operating that facility relatively soon. And so it's not like the facility is going to close. I do think that we're trying to raise enough money so that we can get in there and do some of the things that probably need to be done. To give you a little bit better history on how these things work out, Good Samaritan will donate the facility to the nonprofit association, WCCC. And so these folks have set up the nonprofit corporation so that it can be a donation from one nonprofit to another nonprofit. And so that is in the works. And then the other part is, part of the donation agreement is what kind of equipment then gets transferred with the building. And we don't have all those answers yet, but depending upon what gets transferred, then will also dictate how much money we have to raise. The more that they donate, the less money we'll have to go out and raise. For instance, I imagine that they'll take the computers because that's a pretty movable situation, and so we will have an investment of computers. And some software that's in there, some of it's probably proprietary that is just to the Good Sam organization around the United States, and that would not be something we'd be interested in anyway. All of our facilities, and again, we have about 20. 20 is a lot, you know. It's not one or two, it's 20. And they are all in small communities like you guys. And so the systems that we put in are simple, relatively inexpensive compared to what's out there in the market, and we have the history and the expertise to make sure that the inexpensive, reasonable software is good to use and friendly to operate. So those things will not be a problem for the employees. But that was a good question. We're not anticipating closing, and we're not anticipating them having to give you guys a notice that they're closing. But stay tuned. I think that's our goal. And so they've been very easy to work with, and we're working on that, and working on the donation agreement, you know. So, and you know, this isn't the first one they've gone through either. So they have left other communities under similar situations. So, you know, they know how to do this too. And like I said, we have followed them in other communities, and we have followed other operators in other communities. And so we've gone through these transitions before too. So they know what they're doing. I think we know what we're doing, and we'll just work with the staff. It won't be a piece of cake. I mean, it's not terrible. Yes, ma'am.
Well, can you tell us, in your experience with the other facilities you manage, what negotiations have been like regarding transfer of furniture, the beds and the televisions, the dining room?
So the question from the lady is, our experience working with these folks, what about beds, what about television, what about furniture? Our experience is they donated all that stuff. It's the things like computers. I think we're going to have a discussion about the band. I might lose that discussion, but we're going to have it anyway. But the beds and dressers and all that stuff, our experience says they say here. But, you know, they're not wanting to hurt Selby. They've been here a long, long time. They've just made a decision that in this environment, it's very difficult for them to operate it. And it'll be difficult for us to operate it. Do I think that we can perhaps operate it at good, if not better, at a less cost? Yeah, I mean, we're small. We don't have a big overhead, and we just are kind of simple that way. And so we focus on the residents, and we focus on the employees, and we just kind of try to do a good job. Kind of have a lean, mean attitude about money. So I think, you know, I think that'll go fine. All right. So the question from the lady is, how can this, or will this, affect CMS funding? And how can we maximize it? CMS is Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and they have two programs, Medicare and Medicaid. As I've already mentioned, we'll get a different provider number for Medicaid, and our rate apparently will be the same rate that you currently have, which is not a good rate. Not a lot we can do about that. And so there's no opportunity by being a new operator to get a newer rate on Medicaid. On Medicare, that's a national situation. And so the good news, and we have had success with Good Sam and other providers, whenever you have a change in ownership in a nursing home, it's very typical that you'll get a different Medicaid provider number, and then you'll bill under that provider number for your residents. Medicare can be a different animal. But I have talked to Good Sam when we first started this conversation with an understanding that they're willing to transfer their provider number for Medicare to the facility. Without that assurance, it could be several months before CMS would give us our own provider number. And of course, that's not good. And all of the feedback I have gotten from Good Sam is they're willing to transfer that Medicare provider number. So I'm not anticipating that to be a problem at all. But that was one of my very first questions, because you know, it's important that we can bill for people in the facility that would be on Medicare. Just like it's important to bill for the folks that are in there on Medicaid.
Did that answer your questions?
I was wondering, is there resources in your organization to maximize that benefit?
Is there opportunities in our organization to maximize that benefit? Well, one of the things that we do is we look at your Medicare process. And that's all done as an assessment of those residents, patients, I guess, when they're on Medicare. We will do everything we can to work with the staff to make sure that they understand, and I imagine they probably do, but if there's some training that needs to be done, we have people in our organization that's what they do, is they help them make sure that we're maximizing the Medicare dollars. And we do it to protect the facility too. You know, we're not interested, nor would we be interested in doing anything that would be fraudulent with the Medicare program. You know, we understand the rules and we know how to bill for people and work with the staff so they do too, so that they do what's proper too. So I'm not anticipating any of those problems. If there were some areas that they weren't maximizing, you know, we'd be able to see that and work with them on it. So I'm not anticipating that being a problem. You must be somewhat knowledgeable of the nursing home world. Great. I can tell by the questions. You know, that's good. Yes, ma'am. Are there any grants out there? If there are, I don't know where they are. A lot of times, a community and people from this community, and you might know people, we're involved in Glenwood, Iowa, and that is a nonprofit 501c3, just like these folks are. It's an old building, 2 stories. And the board started exploring what to do. And so there is a state facility in Glenwood, used to house developmentally disabled folks. And in the 70s somewhere, they went to the cottages for folks with developmental disabilities. And since that time, you know, almost all of those folks are in communities now. They're not in an institution like they were years ago. So anyhow, these cottages are out there and they're just empty. And so this board worked with the state and USDA. For those of you that have paper, you won't have any if you work with USDA because it's quite a process. but we were just successful in getting a very low interest loan, 35 years at 2.75%, which allowed us to have the money then to go in and remodel the cottages. And, you know, the concept in today's nursing home world is, that's a nice concept. You know, there's 12 residents to each cottage, and the workers there are universal workers. They don't have just this job and this job. They're universal. They do activities. They help feed. They are also the CNAs. They're universal workers. Anyhow, the reason I bring that up, to answer your question, is there was a local gentleman from that community, I don't know where he lives, but somebody in the community knew him, and he kicked off this fundraising drive with $500,000 out of his foundation that he had. So there are probably people you might know that are either from here or live here, and you know, maybe they've set up a foundation, or there's a trust out there. We, years ago, I used to have a fundraising company, and as we grew and took on more facilities, there just wasn't enough time in a day. But I can tell you, having been in that business for a number of years, there are people in every community, and most of these folks that some have assets, and a lot of these folks don't have kids. And so they're having to make a decision for that day down the road of where those assets are going. And I can assure you, the University of South Dakota, Billy Graham, Boys Town, Muscular Dystrophy, they know all of those folks better than you do. And they're trolling for that money. And they have a staff that trolls for that money. All I say is, a community like you guys and the needs that you have, perhaps we need to tell the story that don't give it all to whoever, whatever. You know, when I did the foundations back in those days, you know, we understood what the needs were of the people that were going to give. Some of them would be religious, and we would say, well, don't forget the church. Or they'd say, well, I have one guy, you know, like pets. Okay. The Humane Society got a few bucks. But their local community got a few bucks too. So it's just working with people, knowing them, and saying, hey, you know, we have a need, and if you don't make the ask, you'll never get it. So just educate folks. If you know somebody, say, hey, you know, this is a good time. So, I don't know grants that are out there, but you might. I mean, you might know of foundations or trusts or things like that. I was in a town hall meeting last night, very similar to this, and the same question was brought up. And somebody said, well, how about Bill Gates or Warren Buffett? That's not normally their giving to a nursing home isn't really where they're giving. But, you know, if you know somebody, that's a huge leap to get money. And that's how we got that $500,000 in Glenwood, because one of the people involved in our group knew this guy, went to high school with him, and knew that he had this foundation. Now we are naming the campus after his mother and dad, Nothing wrong with that, is it? So, you know, it works out. This will work out. There's work to it. It won't be easy. It won't be easy. Well, put in an administrator who we think has a couple of brain cells and can get along with people and care about your residents. I mean, that's kind of the key to this business in my mind. So, you know, we look forward to being involved with you and helping you with your mom and your dad, your uncles and brothers and sisters, and the employees that are also your moms and dads and brothers and sisters and stuff, and the community as a whole. Another question? So the question is, how does our lower overhead translate into a lower cost per day than the current situation? And the $500,000 shortfall of Good Sam. That is this lady's comment, not mine. I am under a non-disclosure agreement by looking at numbers. But if that is the number, okay. So let's find a number that their home office costs are, 13, 14, 15,000 a month, whatever that translates to, plus the administrator's salary and benefits. Our fee is $12,000 a month, and out of that fee, we pay the administrator his or her salary and benefits. So right off the bat, there's a few dollars that are saved. I'd have to do the math, but it's a few bucks. It's not 500. We're not magicians. If I could get you $180 a day for your Medicaid rate, we'd all be in hog heaven. But I don't know if or when that will happen. I do think that all states are having to look at this, you know, because you know, $130 a day for Medicaid is a very low rate, and you know, the state needs to bump that up. Yes, ma'am.
Well, along with that, one of the big issues at the first meeting we heard about was the cost of the pool employees.
Oh.
So what is going to, has that hiring to replace them started? And what's the kind of timeline for when those people will no longer be here? And we have local people that are employed.
So I hope all the employees that are with us stay with us. The question is pooled labor and how are we going to get rid of pooled labor and yada yada that. We'll do our best. I mean, it's expensive. It's certainly not what any nursing home wants. But if we have to have agency help come in order to fill some shifts, we will have to do that. I think what you will find, and I don't know. I mean, you know, is there a reason some people left? Are there reasons that people would come back? If that's the case, I think that they will find that we are good people, that we care about the residents, that we care about them as an employee, and if that's part of why they left, then I would anticipate that they'd want to come back. So I don't have that history, but I'll do everything we can to make it a good environment for employees so that they want to work there. And again, that's why I think it starts with an administrator who cares about the employees, cares about the residents, and somebody you can look up to and respect and has the knowledge to help run a good facility. So if there are people in this community or the surrounding area that used to work there, our doors are open. Come and talk to us. Because we want to get pull labor out of the building as much as possible. That's a no-brainer. But we'll work with the staff to help us do that. Yes, ma'am.
Does the staff-resident ratio change any?
Does the staff to resident ratio change any? I don't know Good Sam's right off the top of my head. I know that our buildings give good care. We're not a for-profit, you know. We don't own, we don't lease, we manage facilities for nonprofits. And so the labor hours that we put into our buildings, we believe is there to do a good job. You also have to kind of manage it to what makes sense. You obviously can't overstaff it. I don't know that would ever be a problem, but nonetheless, you have to watch how many hours you have. So I don't know Good Sam's staffing ratio off the top of my head, but I can tell you that we are very sensitive to that on both sides, making sure that we have enough folks in there and enough labor hours to give good care, but not so much that people are standing around looking at each other and it's costing the facility a bunch of money. I mean, that's part of what management does, right? I mean, we do our job, but we try to do it professionally, but we also have to manage the place. You know, like I say, we need to be a benevolent cat. I'm a benevolent cat, but I am a cat. I have a job to do. I have to report to this board and I have to report to this community. And so, what's the adage? You can't give the farm away. But we'll manage it. We're good people. Now you can go to any one of our facilities, I'm sure, and say, what do these people like? Oh, you're going to find some that don't like us, I'm sure. Most of them might say, yeah, they're okay. Somebody had a question, I'm looking. Yes, ma'am. No. Well, you guys are coming up with some good questions. Must be. So are we going to run it at full capacity or less? Well, we'll certainly operate it at the capacity that we can take care of the residents. Okay, that'll be job one. But I can tell you I had a community where we got involved and the vice president of that community, and this was just him and me and his folks, having a conversation without the board being in the room, without the community being present, and this vice president said to me, what do you think that you can do different than we can do? I said, well,
First thing I do is admit residents. They have stopped admitting residents in this community for over a year. Now, why do you think they called us? The board called us because, you know, we're not happy with these people.
and I don't know why they stopped admitting people. It's a sad, sad situation.
That's how. Anyhow, that's how we got here. Crystal was on the board of the nursing home in Wyoming when they hired us. That's the community that had stopped admitting residents. we came in, took some work. A couple of years later, the community decided to build a brand new nursing home, and it's doing well. It's a community of 5,000 people. So you know, there are some economies there that in Selby we're going to have a little bit more of a challenge, but nonetheless, we're going to try to admit as many people as we can to take care of as many of your people as we can, as long as we have the staff to do it. These guys are around 50 beds. I think there's 45 something right now, if I kind of have the numbers right. So, we're going to try to admit as many folks as we can and take care of as many as we can. And the census goes up and down in the nursing. Usually in the summer, it goes down a little bit. Then as you get into the fall and the winter, census usually grows. So we'll take care of as many folks as we can. Yes.
Facilities that you take care of, do most of them continue to run independently, or do some of them transition and go with other organizations or larger organizations, or is the goal continue to maintain them independently?
Most of the facilities that we have been involved with either stay with us or try it on their own. You know, when you get involved with the community and you get involved with the board and you make things happen. See, when you have a building like this and you're all here as a community, you know what's going on. And then what happens down the road when you have new board members? And what have you done for me lately? Well, the best thing I can do for you is make sure that sucker is running stable and smooth, the employees are taken care of, the residents are taken care of, and then you say, well, I don't think we need them anymore. And you know what? That's your choice. We're probably different than any other management company in the United States. We have a 60-day out clause for either party. Anytime you don't think we're doing our job, just say, you know, we don't want it. It's the same with us. We don't, very seldom in the 28 years that I've been in business have I given the community, we just don't think it's a fit for us, and so we're giving you the 60-day notice. Doesn't happen very often, but sometimes there's politics that get involved. You fire the mayor's daughter or something, you know, and you got this axe to grind or whatever. Hey, I got better things to do than hassle that. But for the most part, we have the same clients that we've had for years. And there's nobody that's going to buy the building and run it, because there's no money. There's not one of you dumb enough to buy a nursing home unless you want to go broke. Unless you're rich and you want to do it or something, that's great. Other than that, you know, there's no money in this business. And so that's why you see them closing. That's why you see corporations leaving. And that's why you see that they're being put back on the community to see what the community wants to do. It's a community decision. And because if there was money to be made in this business, you wouldn't be here tonight. Somebody'd be operating that thing and making money. But there's no money. The key is, how little are you going to lose? Or how much are you going to lose? And that's a challenge. But we'll do the best we can for you. I can tell you that. Other questions?
I just have another question. First of all, what's the name of your company?
Our company is Rural Health Development, and our website is www.rhdchurch.com. short for Rural Health Development, RHD Consult, CONSULT.com.
So you might be here with the Selby facility for a year or 2 years, 10 years, or permanently? Is that what you're telling us? I
Yes.
mean,
Yes. All of our contracts are 60 days. When I started this company with my brother back in 1990, I'd worked for other corporations, big corporations, little corporations. And I always felt that if the community didn't think we were doing our job, they ought to be able to get rid of us without a big hassle. And I always thought, well, you know, if they don't want me, I don't want them. Or if something weird's going on, I don't want to be a part of something weird. You know, life is short. I appreciate the opportunity to come here and visit with you. I appreciate the opportunity to help you with your residents. And I appreciate the opportunity to help you with your employees. That's why I get up in the morning. That's why I drive the hours I do. I'm no saint. I am no saint. But I do have a mission. And I live it every day. It's that tough thing. We do the very best we can for you. And if you don't think we're doing a good job for you, kick us out. We have a meeting in the morning at 9 o'clock with the employees. We'll try to answer whatever questions we can for them. There's still some unknowns, you know, like I said. But they're welcome to ask me any questions tonight, too. You know, so, again, you know, I've been in the nursing home business since 1981. So that's 37 years. I started off as an accountant and moved into administration and worked for several different companies, and then decided to run my own business. If you Google me,
He looks much younger.
if you Google me, you will see that I had another life. I was the Director of Health and Human Services in Nebraska for 5 years when the governor who got the governor, I didn't know him. Unfortunately, he knew somebody that did know me. That was my midlife crisis, you know. It was better than an affair. That's what I told my wife. So I went to help Nebraska, and you can imagine being the Director of Health and Human Services is not a piece of cake. But it was good. I learned a lot. I found out that state employees aren't as bad as I thought they were. It also gives me an opportunity on how to deal with state employees. It worked out good. I did it for 5 years. I think I was the third longest director in the United States when I was appointed the state treasurer of Nebraska, because the state treasurer we had was about to be impeached. And she resigned. The same weekend I told the governor, 5 years and that job was just plain. And I was going to do something else. He said, oh, why don't you be the state treasurer? And I said, what? A, that'd be a piece of cake compared to what I was doing. B, it didn't pay crap. So I did that for 3 years until that term ran out. And then I came back and bought my half of the business back from my brother, because I sold my half of the business to him when I went to become the Director of Health and Human Services. Never thinking I'd come back into this business, to be honest with you. Because I thought, oh, I'll go do something else. And then my son said, Dad, let's get into business together. I thought, oh, God. Better do something I know. And so, Matt's 39. He's one of our regional managers, so he
He oversees about 11 of the facilities. Walt was a regional manager for us until he retired, and then I brought him back, and then he retired, and then I brought him back. So, there's a little personal insight in me and what makes us tick, and it's not just me, because every one of the employees that work for Rural Health Development are equally as passionate about what we do as I am. Otherwise, they don't last. The very first employee we hired in 1991 is still with us. The second employee we ever hired is still with us. Of course, she thinks she runs the business. When you have somebody like that, you don't have to watch the business, they watch it for you. But I have very hard-working, good employees. We treat our employees well, and we expect them to work hard. And I'm not the micromanager type. I just want to make sure people do their job. Any other questions? Well, it's a pleasure being here tonight. You got a great board. You got challenges ahead of you. And you all know that. I mean, not a piece of cake, but you know, we will work together and help you with the residents. And, you know, as I was driving up here today, I was thinking, you know, it's not just today. And it's not just the 45 people that are living in there today. Because if that was the case, I would recommend that you close. It's the 45, couple pass away, 3 more come in, couple pass away, another 5 come in. It's the next 50 or 100 people that are coming in. That's the reason why I'm here, willing to help you keep the nursing home going. It's not just the 45 living there today, it's the rest of the folks that are coming down the road. You have a nice facility, and Dan and Crystal and Renee, hardworking people, they got to learn what it is to be a board too. And they're learning fast. So if you got some insight you can give them, you know, I'm sure they'd appreciate it. And I know they'd appreciate your money. I'll stick around. Walt won't say much, but you can try to talk to him. He kind of just does his thing, you know. As a project manager, he's the one that's going to be working with the staff on the software and what you got in there and what you don't have. And very fortunate that he came back out of retirement to help us with this project. And so I appreciate that, Walt. Back to Dan.
Thank you, Ron. One of the questions I know was asked about grants and whatever, and I think I mentioned it earlier, we visited with the South Dakota Economic Development person from Pierre came to my office on Tuesday, and he gave us a list of grants we can apply for and people. He did very well with that as far as giving us contacts. He said they're not all going to work, but you know, you might qualify for these. So we are trying, and if anybody knows anything else, let someone on the board know, and we're definitely going to pursue all the options we can. If there's no other questions, I know some people asked me about financials, whatever. We cannot disclose the financials. We're all under an order of that, so that is the way it is. Glad everybody came. Feel free to ask us anytime you have a question, or you know, just feel free. We'll try to answer it the best we can. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your support.